بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على السيد المطهر والإمام المزفر وشجاع الغزنفر أبي شبير والشبر قاسم الثوبة والصقر الأنزع البثين الأشجع المثين أشرف المكين العالم المبين ناصر المعين ولي الدين وعلي الولي سيد الرزي حاكم بالنص جلي المخلص السفية المدفون بالغرية ليس بني غالب مظهر العجائب مزهر الغرائب ومفرق القطائب والشهاب الثاقب والحزبر الصالب والنقطة الدائرة المطالب أسد الله الغالب غالب كل غالب ومطلوب كل طالب صاحب المفاخر والمناكب إمام المشارق والمغارب مولانا ومولى الثقلين الإمام بالحق سيدنا ومولانا أبي الحسنين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب عليه الصلاة وعليه السلام. Today is the day of the death, the martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam when he left this world after being struck just 2 nights ago, about which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had told Imam that the worst in the ummah will hit you with a sword and your head will be colored with your blood and your beard will be colored with your blood in a day of great sorrow. And it's a day of reflection as the Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salam. I want to focus on one topic. Who are the true Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salam and what are their responsibilities? So let's think about who are the true Shias or who are Shias in general. Are Shias the people who pray with open hands? Are Shia who mourn in Muharram and do matam for Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Imam Ali alayhi salam in Ramadan? Are Shias those who give khums, don't eat non-scaled fish, don't have as-salatu khairum min an-nawm in Fajr azan, have hayya ala khair al-amal in the azan? All of these are symbolic representations of Shiaism along with others. Shias are truly those who believe in the wilayah of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They follow their teachings and they're friends of Imam Ali alayhi salam and believe in the shifaat of Imam and Ahl Bayt alayhi salam. However, there are two very important concepts in this regard. Number one cannot be a Shia by just saying that they are a Shia. And secondly, one cannot be a Shia by just saying that they are a friend of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And the reason is, if you go to a country like Pakistan where there are Muslims, majority are Muslim, 98% Muslim, if you ask anyone, hardly one person will say that they are not friends with Imam Ali alayhi salam. The entire Muslim Ummah will say today, even after 70 years of Shabbos Shatam on Imam Ali alayhi salam, they will say they are the friends of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They will call him Mawla, they will call him Karamullah Wajhu, and all of those things, that he was the first child to accept Islam, and all of those things. So that in itself is not the criteria for being a Shia. True Shias are special and have certain qualities that are not present in everyone who calls himself a Shia or herself a Shia. For example, Imam, our sixth Imam, our Jafar Sadiq Muhammad said, one who considers namaz as weak and doesn't pay attention to namaz is not a Shia. Second, sixth Imam also said, our shifa'at will not reach one who does not have wara, excellence in taqwa. And we just, I would like to emphasize this concept of taqwa because taqwa is very, very important. Imam has replied to a question about taqwa, same sixth Imam. Taqwa is composed of three things. Allah should be obeyed and never be disobeyed. Allah should always be remembered and never be forgotten. And Allah should always be thanked and praised and never be denied about any of the bounties. And when I say obeyed and never be disobeyed, it means by obeying Allah, we should always perform the obligations. And by not disobeying Allah, it means that we should always stay away from the haram. Secondly, when we say that Allah should always be remembered, it means that we are always considering Allah in all of our actions and when we are evaluating ourselves. Whoever forgets Allah even for a split second, that is the opportunity that the shaitan and nafs want to attack our us. And third, we should always praise Allah and thank Him and never be denying of any of His bounties. It means by thanking and praising Allah, we showcase that everything that we have received from Allah. And Allah says in Quran that whoever thanks Him, He increases in their bounties. And Allah doesn't like the unthankful people. So, Imam, the second quality of a true Shia, which the sixth Imam has said, our shifaat will not reach one who does not have wara, which means excellence in taqwa. And these are the three situations for taqwa. Number three, Imam have written list of Shias and their ancestors and with their fathers and their events from the lives of from the Imams. When the companions asked them about that list, whether their name was in that list. So just remember that the names of the Shias are in that list. The fourth is true Shias are those who accept the orders of the Imams, like the person who was asked by the sixth Imam to sit in a oven, in a burning oven, and he did not ask any question. He just sat over there. Number five, true Shias are those who, for whom Imam Ali alayhi salam said after the battle of Jamal, when a person asked, I wish my brother was here with me to watch this amazing victory that Allah has given us. Imam replied that all of our Shias, whether who are with us today or who will be our Shia in the future, are not born today, were present in this battle. Number six, true Shias are those who follow the teachings of the Imam. For Imam Ali alayhi salam has said, if we die or grow old, will you consider us irrelevant? No, we will be with you through our teachings. True Shias are those who, when say in the Ziyara of Warisa, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Ziyaratul Warisa, فَيَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ مَعَكُمْ فَأْفُوزَ مَعَكُمْ, would that I were with you so that I could also share the accomplishment with you. They mean it with their heart. This means that they connect their actions with their prayers. Like Dr. Hatim said in his last khutbah before Ramadan, the prayers prepare us for action. One cannot just call himself a Shia by calling themselves a friend. Being a Shia is a special honor. It doesn't come easy, and one cannot be a Shia by respecting just Imam Ali alayhi salam and the progeny of the Prophet on the one hand, on the other hand, by accepting the those who usurp the rights of Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, because haq and batil cannot be together. Allah Ta'ala says in Quran that who sees is not like the person who doesn't see. This leads to an important question about Shias. In order to understand the Shias, let's just give a few examples of who is Imam Ali alayhi salam. It is narrated from Aban that Sulaim asked Abu Zar to tell him a hadith that he had heard from the Prophet, which was very unique and different in the eminence of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He replied, meaning Abu Zar replied, that I've heard the Prophet saying that there are 90 angels around the arsh of Allah who are not assigned to do ibadah or tasbih. Their only duty is to obey Ali ibn Abi Talib, cursing the enemies of Ali and asking forgiveness for the Shias of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He also said that I have heard from the Prophet that every prophet became prophet after accepting My prophethood, meaning the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the wilaya of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and marfa of Allah wasn't possible without me, meaning the Prophet and Ali. There would be no ibadah, no sawab, no azab if it wasn't for myself, meaning the Prophet and Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. Now, as we just heard, as we just mentioned, that the prophets were required to accept the wilaya of Imam Ali alayhi salam. This is an interesting, a very revealing topic. Our Muslim brothers, they sometimes say you elevate the imams above the prophets. And the fact is, if this riwayah is true, then that is the case. Except for the Prophet himself, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is superior to everyone. So let me give you an example of what I saw, what I witnessed in the shrine of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And those who have gone to the shrine, they can consider that they are sitting in the shrine under the dome in a corner and they're looking up. And those who haven't, let me paint a picture. There is Zari in the middle, and then it's it's a it's a big room with 4 doors. Half of it is for women, half of it is for men. The men enter from one side and leave from the other doors. Throughout the room, there are glass. Throughout the room, there are lights. Now, at the bottom, there's carpet. Let's assume you're sitting in a corner on one side of the room and you're looking up. What will you see? I'll tell you what you'll see. You'll see the names of the 14 Masumeen on the top of the Gumba, on the top of the dome from inside. You will see the names of the 14 Masumeen on all the lights that are on the 4 sides of this room. You will hear the words Assalamu alayka Amir al-Mu'mineen. You will hear Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You will hear and see tears from the eyes calling out, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Adrikni. I've seen many women, many men, old, young. One particular woman just grabbed the zari. She was on a wheelchair. Just grabbed the zari and kept on saying, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, cure me. Cure me, as if she knew that she will be cured. She had the conviction that she will be cured. And you will know that when there is 27th of Rajab, when there are special dates, people come from all over just there for healing. Now, within the shrine, within the Zari, it's not only Imam Ali alayhi salam, there are 2 other personalities, the 2 of the greatest personalities in the history of humanity. One is the first human ever, Hazrat Adam, the first human created without a father or mother, the first man on earth, the first prophet of Allah, who is the source of all the generations, who's our father. He's buried over there. And then there is the second person, who is Adam Sani, who is an Ulul Azm Pagambar, who preached for 950 years, who built the boat, the ark, who survived the flood. His name is Prophet Nuh. They both lie in the same Zari with Imam Ali alayhi salam. And 2 miles near the Zari, there are two other prophets who are very famous in the Quran because their entire nations were destroyed and they survived. They preached to their nation, they did not listen. Hazrat Hud, Hazrat Saleh, sent to Qawm Samud, Qawm Ad. Four ginormous, amazingly high prophets within the vicinity of 2-3 miles of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Now, but when you see, what you hear, what you feel in that area, it's all about Imam Ali alayhi salam. Why is that? Why is that? Is that wrong or is that right? Let me give you an example. Not an example, but let me give some perspective. Prophet Adam, let's say he was on earth 10,000 years ago, 8,000 years before the death of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Prophet Nuh, probably 6,000 years ago, 5,000, 4,000 years before the death of Imam Ali alayhi salam. We know from historical facts that Najaf, there was nothing in Najaf when Imam Ali alayhi salam was taken there. No one went there. Even that entire area, there was no sign of a grave. There was no shrine, no tomb, nothing. There was one grave that was already dug up for Imam Ali alayhi salam by Prophet Nuh. It means that if Allah wanted to create a shrine because of the prophets, the, the shrine should already be there. Because everyone believed in Adam, everyone believes in Nuh, everyone believes in these two great prophets, Jews, Christians, but no, there was nothing there. And after the death of Imam Ali alayhi salam, that place was kept secret for 6-7 generations till the karamat started appearing and people started realizing what this place is. And then people erected the tomb, people erected the masjid. Now think about this. If this place was to get significance because of the prophets, Allah would have already given this place significance. This place was going to get significance because of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And that's why this place is Najaf, because of Imam Ali alayhi salam. What does that mean? That goes back to the point that what the Prophet said was right. None of the Prophet became Prophet except for accepting my prophethood and the wilayah of Ali alayhi salam. And there are narrations from the prophets that they wanted to be among the Shias of Imam Ali alayhi salam once they found out the level of the Shias. We just talked about the 90 angels who were just there around the earth, just pray for the Shias. And their narrations, when the prophets accepted and wanted to become the Shias, including Hazrat Musa, what if Hazrat Nuh and Hazrat Adam, because their narrations that they knew about Imam Ali alayhi salam, they expressed the desire of becoming a Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And after their death, Allah accepted their dua by bringing them to a place where Imam Ali alayhi salam will be buried. And that place, and in that place, they're now a true Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They have given up all of their majesty, all of their spectacular standing in front of Allah for Imam Ali alayhi salam. It's all about Imam Ali alayhi salam in Najaf. That is who a true Shia should be. They give up everything that they have for Imam Ali alayhi salam, for Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, for the Prophet. Their own personality melts away for the cause of Ahl Bayt alayhi salam. This is because Imam Ali alayhi salam gave himself and everything that he had for the cause of Allah. Examples from the time of Hazrat Abu Talib and Hazrat Khadija, whose death was just commemorated few days ago. Both of them died within 3 days of each other. Hazrat Abu Talib uh, died on the 7th of Ramadan, and Hazrat Khadija died on the 10th of Ramadan during the right after the boycott of Quraysh, when all the Muslims, or no, at that point they weren't Muslims, all the Quraysh of Makkah boycotted Banu Hashim, and that caused the death of Hazrat Abu Talib and Sayyidah Khadija. Both of them are martyrs within 3 days of each other. During that time, Hazrat Abu Talib used to put his sons into the bed of the Prophet so that people, if they attack the Prophet at night, they would kill one of his sons, not the Prophet himself. And one of the sons was Imam Ali alayhi salam. The night of Hijrah, Imam Ali alayhi salam did an action and gave up his life to protect the life of the Prophet. During the Battle of Badr, which just passed on the 17th of Ramadan, out of those 70 people who were killed, on one hand, you had 1,000 people army. On the other hand, you had 313 people. You had many horses on one side. You had 2 or 3 horses on the other side. You had many armed, like swords and other things on one side. You had like few swords and a lot of sticks on the other side. In that battle, there were 70 Muslims, 70 kuffar who were killed, 14 Muslims that embraced Shahada. Out of those 70, some people say 36, some people say 39 of them were killed by Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. He did that action, and that action was the cause of the animosity that the people of Mecca had against him. That's why Yazid said after killing Imam Ali, Imam Hussein al Islam, that he avenged those who were killed by Imam Ali al Islam at Badr. So at this point, I just want to highlight one thing. The role of Shaitan is very important to understand. How he shows good deeds and then leaves. Because as we talked about the power, the requirement of a true Shia, that they have to have wara, which is the excellence of taqwa, it meant to remember Allah all the time. Because if we forget Allah for a split second, shaitan and nafs will come into our bodies, our mind. They will whisper, they will take over. That's what shaitan did. Because what shaitan does, it shows something that is good and then leaves when you do the wrong thing. Shows the wrong thing as good and leaves when you actually commit the wrong thing. He came with the army of Quraysh, army of the Mecca at Badr. And when he saw things that others did not see, he left. He said, "Oh, I'm not with you. I'm scared of Allah." That's what he does. He always say, "Ana bariyum mimma tashrikun. Ana akhafu lillahi rabbil alameen." I'm afraid of Allah. And that's what he does all the time. That is what Imam Ali alayhi salam said in one of his quotes. Amazing quote. Do not leave a good deed because it will cause you temporary difficulty, because that good deed will stay, but that difficulty will go away. And do not commit a bad deed because it will cause some benefit to you, because that benefit will go away, but that bad deed will stay forever. Imam Ali alayhi salam's life is full of action. We hear about his ibadah, but the things for which Allah revealed verses are about his action. Whether accepting Islam in the beginning, sleeping in the bed of the Prophet, bringing the women of Banu Hashim from Makkah to Medina, Battle of Badr, Battle of Uhud, Khaybar, Khandak, Hunain, communicating Surah Al Bara in front of the Makkans who he had already killed. the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, the conquest of Mecca, giving ring in Salat. In other words, all the actions, these were all actions that he performed. Dr. Hatim mentioned in his last sermon 2 weeks ago about the importance of action and why we lack action. Imam Ali alayhi salam mentioned this in several of his sermons as he was chastising, as he was warning the people of Kufa when the Imam complained about the people, what they were doing. I have I have informed that I have been informed, Imam Ali alayhi salam has said, I have been informed that Busr has overpowered Yemen. By Allah, I have begun thinking about these people were that they would shortly snatch away the whole country through their unity on their wrong and your disunity from the right. Your disobedience of your Imam in matters of right and their obedience of their leaders in the matters of wrong. Their fulfillment of the trust in favor of their master and your betrayal. Their good work in their cities and your mischief. Even if I give you charge of a wooden bowl, I fear you would run away with its handle. Oh my God. Oh my Allah, they are disgusted of me and I'm disgusted of them. They are weary of me and I'm weary of them. Change them for me with better ones and change me for them with worse one. Oh my God, Allah, melt their hearts as salt melts away in water. By Allah, I wish I had only 1,000 horsemen of Banu Faras, and if you call them, the horsemen would come to you like the summer cloud. Now think about the words of Imam Ali alayhi salam in our context. Our meaning people who are living in the 21st century, 2022. We are devoid of action. We see Shias being killed and we keep quiet. We live in the world's only superpower with a democratic government and freedom to speak and make a difference, but we keep quiet. We choose to stay silent. We are shrugged and appealed to by the wailing mothers, crying sisters, distraught fathers, but we keep quiet. We see the haram of the Prophet and the Kaaba under the control of the oppressors who have blocked Hajj for 2 years, but we kept quiet. Who have punished the followers of Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, killed, beheaded 41 Shias, but we kept quiet. Who have put Masjid al-Nabawi under curfew on the night of Ashura, the saddest night for the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam and the Prophet himself, but we keep quiet. We see a history defining movie come out that shows the Shia version of Islamic history that had never been shown or discussed before in mass for 1400 years. But what did we do? We kept quiet. We see the severed heads of Shias. We see 7 bomb blasts in a matter of 1 month in Pakistan and Afghanistan, killing hundreds of Shias, those whose names are written in the books of Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, with Ahl Bayt alayhi salam. But we, the Shias of the West, we kept quiet as if we are in a deep coma where nothing can shake us. We will go do the julus, we will go to the majalis, we will cry for Imam. But when it comes to the actual Shias who are dying right and left, who are being persecuted throughout, silence. We share political videos and argue with each other on topics that don't affect us. But we keep quiet on the things that Imam alayhi salam was telling his followers about in Kufa. As he was admonishing and telling them what they were doing wrong, It is the same thing that we are doing. This can only be due to one fact, one reason, that our ibadah is not affecting our inner self. They're not increasing our Maarfat of Allah, of the Prophet, of the Imams. We are quiet to the point where even when we ask people to give reasons for being quiet, they still stay quiet. And this is like the biggest anomaly from in the mindset of a person. Like, you don't give the answer, and when you ask why aren't you giving an answer, so no answer to that as well. What would someone do to that situation? And this is, as I've discussed this several times before, the situation is not new. We just read, heard what Imam Ali alayhi salam was saying to the people of Kufa. We know what happened to Muslim bin Aqil when people stayed quiet in Kufa. We know what happened to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We know what happened to Imam Hassan alayhi salam when people left them. We know what has happened to all the Imams after them. So the people who were there, who were not supporting the Imams, we're no more different than them. So if someone says that when the Imam comes, things will be different, how can they say that things will be different when they doing the same thing when the Imam was there, and we're doing the same thing when the Imam isn't there? We're living in a free society, but still we don't care about these things. And then I would like to highlight a few things that we pray. We recite these du'as every single day in Ramadan, and then as part of Dua Kumail. What are there certain words we probably don't even recognize the words that we're speaking, but in the dua of Ramadan we say وَتَجْعَلْنِي مِمَّن تَنْتَصِرُ بِهِ لِدِينِكَ وَلَا تَسْتَبْدِلْ بِغَيْرِي, meaning make me among those through whom you support your religion. We are asking Allah that we should be able to support His religion. And in Dua Kumail, we are saying, وَالدَّوَامَ في اتصال بخدمتك, meaning and continuity in my being joined to your service. Which means that again we're saying, oh Allah, take us in your service. We're saying these words. These are the words of the Imams. But when it comes to actually doing action, we stay quiet. We don't do anything. So at the end, I would like to conclude by the wasiyah of Imam Ali alayhi salam. These are certain things that Imam Ali alayhi salam laid out, which are blueprint of action. On the night of his martyrdom, once all the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam gathered, Imam Ali alayhi salam gave his books and weapons to Imam Hassan alayhi salam and said, I give this to you as I was given by the Prophet, and after you hand it over to your brother, then Hussein handed over to your son Ali, and then Ali handed over to your son Muhammad, and convey my salam and the Prophet's salam to Muhammad the Baqir alayhi salam. Then Imam said on his deathbed to Imam Hassan alayhi salam that you are responsible after me. So if you want, you can free the killer, or if you want to punish him, just strike him once. Then the Imam said, this will is from Ali ibn Abi Talib. He bears witness that Allah is alone without any partner, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his creation and prophet. My salat Life and death is for Allah, who is Rabbul Alameen. There is no partner to him, and I am among the Muslims. Then I will I will you Hassan to all my Ahl Bayt and to whom this wasiyah reaches, that fear Allah, adopt taqwa, don't die except as a Muslim, and hold on tightly to the rope of Allah and do not be separated. And remember the bounties of Allah, that you were once enemies of each other, but Allah joined your hearts. I've heard from the Prophet that unity among each other is better than Salat and Siyam, and disunity takes you away from religion and causes infighting. Keep doing good with your family, Allah will ease your hisab. Fear Allah for the orphans, let them not be hungry, because I have heard from the Prophet that Allah has confirmed Jahannam for those who eat orphans' wealth. Fear Allah about Quran. Let's not other take lead over you with respect to Quran. Fear Allah about the house of Allah, Khana Kaaba, for if you leave it, you will not even be noticed. Fear Allah for Salat, because it is the best ibadah and the pillar of religion. Just to highlight few things in this wasiyah, Imam Ali al-Islam emphasizes taqwa. Then he says, remember the bounties of Allah. And then he says, focuses on unity. Unity has to be among the Shias of Ahl Bayt alayhis salam. We're not talking about the unities with the Nasabis, Wahhabis, all those who are supporting the enemies of Ahl Bayt alayhis salam. Unity is not possible with those people who are killing the Shias of Ahl Bayt alayhis salam. Unity is within the Shias of Ahl Bayt alayhis salam, who are disunited on basic things. And then Imam is saying, talking about the family, focusing on orphans, and then Quran, Salat. But he's saying about Quran, not just read Quran, but take lead in Quran, understand Quran, not just keep reading it without understanding, because others might take lead in Quran, which means others will not be reading Quran because they don't believe in Quran. They will be actually understanding and implementing the principles of Quran. And last thing I would like to highlight, Imam Ali alayhi salam has said, fear Allah about the house of Allah, the Khana Kaaba, the Kaaba which is alone, the Kaaba which was kept alone for 2 years, the Kaaba which is under the control of these oppressive butchers who have killed innocent people, who have killed the Shias of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and they've been killing for years. These butchers, they control the house of Allah. And what do? We keep quiet. We don't talk about the freedom of Hijaz. We don't talk about the atrocities. We don't talk about the killing that these butchers have done. We don't care about this. This is, for God's sake, Allah's house. This is our center. This is the center of gravity. This should be the center of gravity for every Muslim. This is how we are identified. Imam Ali alayhi salam has said, fear Allah about the house of Allah, Khana Kaaba, for if you leave it, you will not even be noticed. And we have left Kaaba alone. We don't care what happens to Kaaba. We don't even raise voice about Kaaba. May Allah help us, guide us towards the right direction. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.